Good morning, everyone, and welcome to Military Mondays. I am retired Air Force Major. I can talk this morning, Brenda Sanchez. And every single Monday morning, I potentially highlight a veteran, military-owned, or spouse-owned business. And so if that describes you and you'd like to potentially be on my show, go to militarymondays.info. So that's militarymondays.info and fill out the form. And I would love to have you on my show. You can also go watch past episodes of some amazing entrepreneurs that have a military connection of some kind. So with that, though, I want to talk about this amazing lady sitting beside me. Celeste and I met through networking. There seems to be a common thread in my Military Mondays. And she was actually connected to us through a friend, I believe, or through Facebook, a post I put out there. And I got to know this lady, and she's got a lot going on. She's got a lot of fun things going on. So welcome to the show, Celeste.
Well, Brenda, thank you so much for having me. I'm excited to be here. Yes, we connected via another friend of mine in a military networking group, and you had a chance to speak to her as well. But I love, the fact that you bring entrepreneurs on and let us share our stories and, help people connect. So thank you so much for having me.
Oh, you're welcome. Thank you. And so Celeste is a former Air Force sergeant. So let's talk a little bit about your military career, Celeste, and then we'll get into all the fun things you're doing today, but specifically Foot Solutions.
Well, I actually joined the Air Force after 2 years of college. So I had my associate's degree and went in as an airman first class. And, quite frankly, I always tell people I was kind of like, I don't know, just not really ready for it. I was, a lot of people would say I was somewhat prissy, and they were a little surprised when I said I was joining the military. And if I recall correctly, I don't think I joined the military after asking for permission from anybody. I think I went and I signed up, delayed entrance for a year, and then kind of broke it to people along the way. So I had a whole year to kind of get my mind right that I was joining the military, but it's not like I had no exposure to the military. My uncle was a chief in the Navy. His son was in the military. So I had my grandfather in the military. So I came from a family that was military, but nobody had gone in the Air Force. And so I was kind of like Private Benjamin, if you remember that movie.
Yes.
That was me. But I had a really great time. After basic training, I picked a job that was in military intelligence because I thought in the long run I wanted to work for the CIA or FBI or something, kind of cool like that. So I picked a job, and after basic training, I went to tech school in San Angelo, Texas. And then my first duty station was Kadena Air Force Base on the island of Okinawa. And that was amazing. Probably in my 4 years of military experience after I left Okinawa, I went to Germany, but I probably hit about 25 different countries. We traveled a lot. And what we did, Brenda, is if you remember back before cell phones, that's when I was in during the Cold War era. And any government phone had a sticker on it that said, this phone is subject to be monitored. And
yep.
my squadron did that ComSec security and made sure that classified information wasn't being passed on non-secure lines. So we would often travel and do big joint exercises with other NATO countries or Pacific, alliances, and traveled a lot of times with the IG team. So, if you can imagine going to Korea and everybody's in Tent City and we were staying off bases, and that was my experience.
That's a pretty neat experience. You got to see the world in 4 short years. And in my entire career, I didn't see the world. I saw the US. So it's a pretty neat experience. And so let's talk about why you got out and what you did when you got out.
Yeah, so I really went in thinking that I was going to be able to go to school while I was in, but I really didn't get the opportunity to take many classes. I took 1 or 2 classes, but my goal was to kind of go in and have the military experience and get my bachelor's degree while I was in. But I did get the GI Bill, and so my goal was always to kind of get out and go back to school. And I remember when it was time to get out, I had applied to several colleges. I think a school in Mississippi, in Michigan, University of Michigan, Howard University, and I got accepted into all of them, but I got out and found out I was pregnant.
Oh, wow.
I didn't go back to school immediately, but I absolutely used that GI Bill when I could, and I got my bachelor's degree, and then I also went on and got my master's degree.
Awesome. And so you went right from being in the military to being a mom. And then I happen to know that you had another career, a long career in HR, right?
Yes.
So let's talk about that.
Yeah. So I really used that military experience, and, I had a top secret SCI clearance when I was in. So I, had the opportunity to be exposed to a lot of very, very confidential information. So HR was a good fit for me because I could go in and tell an employer, although I had no HR experience, that I could handle confidential information, and I understood strategy. My job in the Air Force was not a tactical kind of job. It was really strategy, taking pieces of conversations and piecing together for the big, classified picture. And so I went into HR, and I had a long career in HR, 25 years. Before getting out of corporate America, I was with one employer for 12 years with a very senior leadership role. I had direct reports. I, at one point, had about 122 retail stores in 5 states, and
wow,
employees, probably close to 4,000 employees at one point. But HR was an easy fit for me because it allowed me to use some of those transferable skills from the military and apply them day to day in a career. And it allowed me to be very successful. In the military, although you have your airman hat on or whatever hat on, you wear many hats.
Yes.
If they say you go out and do this, you go out and do that, right?
Yep.
Even in most jobs, you had a secondary job function. And so going into corporate America was pretty easy for me. Systems, following systems, we get that from the military, and applying systems, making SOPs and procedures for following things. That was really easy for me. So I enjoyed my HR career, but when I had the opportunity to jump out of corporate America, I jumped feet first.
Awesome. So let's talk about that, because you have a couple of entrepreneurial, I put Foot Solutions in the description on Facebook, and that's your primary, or that's what you like to focus on right now, but you have your fingers in a bunch of pies. You're definitely an entrepreneur. And so let's talk about that. How did you get into being, and what led you down that path after 25 years in HR? What made you jump feet first into something new?
Yeah, I wish I had done it a long time ago prior to when I did, but I always had this thought of, I'm not a salesperson. And then somebody helped me flip that script. I was a salesperson. I was selling my company. I was selling products, things that I loved. And so I did something that most people, frown their nose at. I went into network marketing, and I had success. I earned a car, I earned multiple trips, and I found out that, yes, if I love a brand, I can tell everybody about it, just like I was doing with my company. And, but I was only doing it on a part-time basis. And in the back of my mind, I was always thinking, man, if I really had like 30 hours or 40 hours just dedicated to my own business, I wonder how successful I could be. Because, when you're in corporate America, you're, getting pay raises and merit increases and little bonuses. But, at the end of the day, you're putting in so much work for somebody else's dream. Somebody else's dream. And although I love the work, what I found is that in corporate America, oftentimes you were not part of, creating that vision or creating the strategy. They just wanted you to execute on the tactical execution of that strategy. And I remember when I first got into HR, it was much more entrepreneurial, where you could, bring your ideas to the table and they listened and they said, oh, well, let's try that in your community. Or you had diversity initiatives and you wanted to try them, or, employee growth initiatives and you wanted to try them. And everybody was like, yeah, sure. But as the years went on and corporate America and companies get bigger and bigger and bigger, a lot of that is just really done at the corporate level. And so, when the opportunity came, I said, you know what? I think I could do this. I really think I could do this. I had success as that network marketer. And when the opportunity came, and it was one that I didn't expect to come at the time, because I was actually in a pretty bad on-the-job car accident and was just struggling with a lot of pain and, being able to think clearly when you're on pain medications. When the opportunity came, my company decided to shift my job. And I was living here in Greenville, South Carolina, and they wanted me to consider applying for my same job in Tennessee or North Carolina. And I was like, no, I think I'll just take a severance package. And so I left corporate America and jumped, head feet first, I guess, into full-time entrepreneurship and did network marketing. And then I decided also to go into real estate at that time. So I did real estate and network marketing kind of full-time for about a good year and a half, and then Foot Solutions fell into our lap.
So let's talk about that, because you went feet first into a foot business.
Yes. So I had a really good friend that was in a network marketing company with me. And like I said, we won multiple trips, and we were actually on one of those trips. I think we were in Puerto Vallarta or Cabo, one of those, someplace in Mexico. And we always got to bring our spouses along. And my good friend's husband was there. He played 10 years in the NFL and had a company that he had launched on Shark Tank. And he had mentioned that he was going to sell his company to this company called Foot Solutions and become an owner. And that, they were going to really rebrand this company, and there would be no Foot Solutions in the state of South Carolina. And he said, when we get to the point of opening franchises again, what do you think? And of course, I was a little hesitant, but my husband was like, oh, yes, we would do it. Absolutely. We knew nothing about feet, but the company was just fabulous in terms of education and getting us prepared. And they had systems in place for us. So it was kind of like being in the military again. They gave us a blueprint, SOPs, a map, a roadmap to follow, and we got started. And we actually bought into 3 different locations in the state of South Carolina. So we've opened Greenville, but we will be opening Charleston and Columbia, within the next 4 years or so.
Awesome. And so people come to you from all over. You and I have had conversations even outside of South Carolina. So let's talk a little bit about what Foot Solutions, say that 3 times fast, Foot Solutions offers to people, because it's an amazing concept and amazing product that people come from all over to be able to get.
Yeah, absolutely. It's really a niche. So, truly our customers are anybody with feet, but, we serve a lot of guests that have foot ailments and issues with their feet. They're on their feet all day. They're experiencing pain, different things like that. So we are, what I would say is a mix between a regular retail store where you might buy shoes and a doctor's office that might say you need some additional support, or because of your foot issue, you need to look for shoes like this. So we are really specialized in the fact that our employees are truly foot wellness experts. They've gone to school for education. Our store is managed by a podorthist, not a podiatrist, a podorthist, who studies the biomechanics of the foot and anything, the lower extremities, so anything below your knee, and really getting you back into a neutral gait. And they know shoes. So every single shoe that we carry in our store, they know the reason why we carry that shoe, what that shoe will do in terms of your helping your foot get back into a neutral alignment, helping to correct issues, shoes that we have a lot of really cool international brand shoes as well, but most of our shoes already have built-in really great arch supports, or they have the removable insole so that you could put custom orthotics in them. And we actually do custom orthotics right in our store. And they're really cool. The technology of our orthotics are truly custom. It's amazing. I mean, we have a system that you can't find any place else in the United States. It's, again, an international brand system that's the foundation for our custom orthotics, but we're doing 3D printed custom orthotics, and they're pretty cool.
Wow, that is cool.
Yeah.
And so as people are watching, who is obviously anybody with feet, but there is a niche of people that are best served by Foot Solutions. And so who are those people, so that those that are watching, whether it be them or somebody they know, can reach out to you?
Yeah, absolutely. And this is the season of, giving. So I always say, give the gift of comfort to anybody that you love. But if you have somebody in your family that has a unique foot size, unique foot shape, they might need a wide width shoe. They might need a larger size shoe. They might have trouble finding shoes in a regular retail environment. They've had a foot injury or a foot ailment like bunions, calluses, corns, arthritis in their feet. They're diabetic and need special supportive shoes. They're athletes, they're runners, soccer moms, moms with children, anybody that wants to have comfort on their feet, doctors and nurses. Think about people that are on their feet all day long and they're maybe complaining of foot pain, ankle pain, knee pain, hip pain, back pain. The foundation of all of that pain genuinely starts at the feet. If you can take care of your feet, all of the things upstream improve. And so I would tell you, truly it's anybody with feet, because at some point you're going to experience pain if you don't take care of your feet.
Yeah. Awesome. So if you're watching and that's you, or you know somebody that's having issues, please reach out to Celeste and Foot Solutions. But the other question I want to ask you is, you mentioned early on you wish you had started your entrepreneurial journey earlier. Let's talk a little bit about that, because I think so many people are in a rut. They're in this box, and they don't think outside the box. And it's not until later in life when they are forced to go the entrepreneurial journey, or they finally give in. Why do you say you wish you had started earlier?
Yeah, I really wish I had started earlier, because I had this concept in my mind that I was not a salesperson. And when somebody helped me really kind of flip that script and see that, yes, in fact, you are. Almost everybody is a salesperson. You're selling your kids' dreams. A lot of, I notice a lot of moms, sometimes give up on their dreams about a career because they're so focused on their children's dreams. So they're selling their kids' dreams, their athletic ability, they're selling something, they're selling their husband, they're selling, they're selling things all the time, helping their kids with fundraisers, or they have their favorite brands of clothes and jewelry or shoes, and they're selling that to their friends, or their favorite recipes, they're selling those to their friends. But I never in my mind thought that that was selling, but it really is. And so if somebody had just kind of helped me flip that script earlier, I would have said, wow, gosh, I probably can do something. And me as an former HR person, I would tell everybody, start your entrepreneurial journey while you have a steady paycheck coming in. Start on the job and can support it. And yes, it could be a hobby initially, and a hobby that brings you a lot of passion and joy. But then think about ways that you can shift that passion and joy into a real career and being a full-time entrepreneur. It's much easier starting being an entrepreneur while you have a job. It's kind of like what we used to say in HR. It's easy to get a job when you have a job.
Yeah.
A job when you don't have one.
Exactly. And I love that because I've always said everybody, in my opinion, should have some type of a side gig, an entrepreneurial, whether it be doing crafts at home or a network marketing or direct sales, or there are franchise opportunities that aren't brick and mortar that you can do anywhere in the world and take with you. There are so many different options. And I think everybody needs a plan B, because you never know when you're going to need to fall back on your plan B. And if you don't have a plan B and something happens, then you're scrambling. Sort of like if you have a job, it's easy to find a job. If you don't, now you're scrambling to find another job and bring some income in. So I just truly believe that everyone should have something on the side. And if somebody watching this would like to talk to Celeste or I'm sure we'd be glad to have a conversation with you about, we have so many connections. I know Celeste has hundreds of connections, thousands, and so do I, that can find you the right fit for that passion that you have, or just have a discussion about it. So one last question I have for you is, what words of wisdom would you have to somebody that is currently serving, that is getting ready to either separate or retire?
Oh, I would definitely tell them to take a look at their military experience and think about all of the skills that you learned in the military, and think of how you could transfer them into either a role in corporate America or your own business. And there are so many resources out there. Connect with some of those resources that are serving military members and use those resources. I remember when I got out, there was no transitional services that I can recall. Nobody set me up for any that I can recall. But definitely get with somebody. If you have a friend that is in human resources, connect with them. I'm sure they would help you transition your resume from a military speaking resume to one that speaks to corporate America. You have so many skills that look at companies and you look at the company's visions and mission statement. So many of the things that you learn in the military transition directly into those visions and goals in terms of serving customers. You're serving your country, but you just switch that just a little bit and you can definitely be successful. But I would also tell you to just look around, people that inspire you. There's something that you can learn from everybody, even some of your, what you would consider some of your worst enemies. You can learn what not to do when you are your own business owner or working in corporate America. So I would probably say those things.
Awesome. And then is there anything that we didn't talk about today that you wanted to talk about?
Well, I think the only thing that we missed is that, when I did jump out of corporate America, I did real estate, and I also invested in a self-storage facility. So my husband and I, we own a self-storage facility, but very similar to what you were saying, Brenda. We know that your cheese can be moved at any time. After 25 years working in corporate America, this is the time of year when we always had reductions in forces or layoffs, so they can get people off the books before the end of the year. I know that if you don't plan, that's when things become very stressful. Imagine using that same 40 hours and maybe breaking up your time and being really effective in buckets of time. So that myth about, multitasking, it really is a myth. You don't want to multitask. What you really want to do is be really effective in short buckets of time and map out your day and be really effective. And you can do so much more in 40 hours for yourself than you could do working for somebody else.
Absolutely. I absolutely love it. Thank you so much for being on today. If you're watching this and you got value out of it, or somebody that could get value out of this, please do me a favor and like and share this. Let's get this video out so that people can learn about Celeste and what she offers with her foot solutions, and many other options, especially if you're there in the area where she is in South Carolina. So again, thank you so much for being on, Celeste. I appreciate you. If you are a military member that wants to start your own side gig or has one, or a spouse, or you're a veteran, let's have a conversation if you have a business, and maybe I'll feature you on a Military Mondays. So just go to militarymondays.info. That's Military Mondays with an S.info. And I look forward to interviewing some of you that are watching today. So with that, have an awesome week, and I will see you right back here next Monday at 8 a.m. Mountain Time. Have a great week, everyone.